Hey, what's up? So I've been stuffing my phone with some of the coolest parking games I can find on the Play Store. And before I get on in that list, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to the channel. So as our phones are getting better and better every day, parking games are also getting better and better at the same rate. So the moment you find the right parking game and you start playing, then within no time you're into it, and without knowing, you kind of get used to that game. So number 10, we have a game released by OneSoft called car parking. The game is as simple as the name itself, and the main aim of the game is to just park around a simple looking vehicle. It also happens to have licensing which you sign up, and then after getting to some certain level in your game, you're able to go into driving school at the same time you're parking your vehicle in the game. So it's a really nice game you can play around with, and you can also get into it a lot. They have really nice features, although the graphics are not too intensive, I can say, but they've really tried. This car parking is one of those games which you can give a 10-year-old kid to play around with. The game hosts a number of vehicles which you can unlock while you get the amount of money from your parking levels, and it's as simple as that. Then on number 9, we have advanced car parking made by Broken Diamond. So advanced car park is one of the games I really like to play on my phone. This game has really nice graphics, it has really cool background music around the game, and then it can totally immerse you into that game when you're playing it. Although it has a downside because you can't see the interior of that car, but you can actually see the vehicle looking realistic as you are parking around the game. One other downside of this game is the fact that you can't change your vehicle in the game, and at the same time you can't try to customize your vehicle as you're parking. Other than that, the game has over 500 parking levels, which they're just cool and can be played by people of all ages. On to number 8 now, and we have Dr. Parking made by SUD. SUD have come a really long way in terms of making smartphone games. They have made Dr. Parking, Dr. Sudoku, Dr. Rocket, and many other titles to just put across. But Dr. Parking, and especially Dr. Parking 4, is a really nice parking game. This game has a lot of 5-star rating in the Play Store right now. If you go and check it out, so many people love this game. It has online multiplayer. You can play around with people as you are parking your vehicles. It has different kinds of vehicles. You can customize them, you can start tuning them. The game is really simple, and then at the same time they also have really nice background music as you're playing the game. It's an overall nice parking game, and at the same time, to remind you, the game is not really graphic intensive, so it can almost be played by any kind of smartphones. The low specs, the high specs, you name it, you have it. Although I'll warn you though that this game can become an addiction to you. Number 7, we have another game made by a company called Play With Games. It's called Multi-Level 7 Car Parking Game. This game is simple. It has real nice graphics, not too intensive. At the same time, they have so many vehicles to choose while you're playing the game. Even trucks, lorries, buses, all of those they're in the game. You can park them around, and then you don't just park from one place to another within a very small area. You can move around inside the game. You can move from one place to another. You can take your vehicle around a stroll as you're parking your vehicle, and at the same time you get to unlock new vehicles each time you get rewarded for the levels that you pass. It can be played by people of all ages. Then number 6, we have a game made by Tire Games, that is TIRE. This game is wow. In terms of graphics, they are up there. They have a real nice logic in what the people decided to do when developing this game. They made NPCs inside the game. They have vehicles moving around. It's almost like a game where you park around inside a city that's moving around each time. The game is called Real Car Parking. Now you'll see this name repeating itself because they tried to copy another game, but they had their own shortcomings, and that is why they landed at number 6 in this list. They have really good graphics. The interior of the vehicles are really nice, spot on. They have really nice sound effects for the vehicles that you're going to play around with, and they also have real nice background music which you can change to listen around. Now there are shortcomings though about this game. Number 1 is when you're driving in first-person view inside this game, apart from the really cool interiors, there are things that are missing. First of all, there are no side mirrors, so you can't see your back. When you park your vehicle at the side of the road and there are NPCs walking by, they just come and I can say hit your car, and then they die instantly. They just disappear, and then you end up getting a penalty for hitting something. I can say it's really not cool. But in terms of the level of hardness of the parking game, they're not really that intensive, as I can say. On to the top 5, and from number 5 to number 3 are games made by one company, which I have really come to like these games, and they have very difficult levels, some of to pass right now. I'm talking about games made by World Scratch Studios, and the first game I played was Backyard Parking 3D. This game is really undescribable. You have to play this game to enjoy it for yourself. The game has really nice graphics to begin with. At the same time, the developers paid attention not only on the game itself while you're packing the game, but also to create this image outside the game as you're packing, since they have put inside these sound effects that just can't go unmentioned. There are times I'm playing, then you hear a train moving by within the game, but you can't see it. You can hear children playing along the road. You can even hear motorbikes moving. It's kind of a real world packing game because they have really nice background effects for this game. The vehicles themselves also look spot on. You can see every graphic detail they've taken into consideration to this game as you're playing. And also, not to forget, they have really intense levels which you require a really high amount of IQ to pass. Although one shortcoming about this game is that you can't drive around in first person view in the vehicle, which I would really love to see inside the interiors of these vehicles, because the exteriors look extremely polished. They have this Grand Theft Auto 4 vibe inside the game. As you look around the graphics, they are not too saturated to the level that they look really shiny. I'm a fan of Grand Theft Auto series. And in terms of the levels inside the game, they have 12 parking levels, and each 12 parking level differs from one vehicle to another. What I'm trying to say is, if you move from one vehicle to the other, the 12 parking levels completely change in terms of the difficulty. The first vehicle will have really nice, not too intensive parking levels all the way to 12. When you move to the next one, 12 parking levels change in terms of difficulty. So as you progress from one vehicle to another, the levels change from one difficulty level to another until it reaches a point where having 3 stars, that is the maximum stars you can get in this game, becomes almost difficult. And on to number 4, we have another one also made by Wallscraft Studios called Parking Reloaded 3D. Now this one is almost kind of another game that was set aside by them. Maybe they decided to release this game to, you know, bring up that sensation again. And one of the things I think they addressed in this game is being able to play in first person view inside the game. You can actually play the game and park around in the vehicle in first person view. You can see your front bonnet, and at the back you can see your boot, which makes parking real easy. So nothing too much about this, but they're really nice games. You really have to go and play for you to experience this for yourself. And number 3, they made it to top 3. You have Valley Parking 3D. I don't know why they keep insisting on the word 3D, as if you don't know they are. Valley Parking is a really nice, difficult parking game. You've got to have a really high amount of IQ to play this game. There are levels that I'm completely unable to move all the way to the end. I just end up messing somewhere, or maybe I move to the end and I get 1-star rating because I didn't do it right. But in terms of the graphics, this game is off the limits. They have really tried to put the graphics in another level. And then speak about the background that we were initially having in background parking 3D. They have put them into live action right now. They have put them into live action in this game, whereby the vehicles that are moving around, when you hear the effects in the backyard parking 3D, right now they're real vehicles actually moving around. And you don't just park in this backyard space that they limited you in that game. In here you can actually move from one place to another, get to move around in the highway, see other vehicles moving around with you in the same road. It's really nice overall. So you have to play this game to really get that feeling that I'm getting. They are very consistent with that Grand Theft Auto 4 graphic vibe in these games. Okay, on to number 2 now. That is our top finale. I'm talking about 2 games that are released by the same company. This is a company that's been trying to push the limits in terms of graphics, in terms of sound effects, and also at the same time giving you that fun when you're playing the game. These are 2 games released by a company called Spectre Games. Spectre Games are really nice in what they do. I'll say this from the beginning of the game I played, called Real Car Parking Master. This game is top notch in everything. Top notch in terms of the difficulty in playing the game, in terms of the graphics and other additional stuff inside the game. The graphics are extremely polished. They look vibrant. Everything looks colorful in this game. The vehicles look lively. Even the interiors of this vehicle are so highly polished, you can't even tell the difference from that vehicle and a real life vehicle right now. And speak about the sound effects, they are way beyond. Take a listen to this. And they didn't name this game Parking Master for nothing. They have really difficult levels where you completely can't move your vehicle from one place to another. That is in terms of testing your IQ. I think this is where they will test your intelligence. How well would you park your vehicle? And it's not just parking a car from one point to another in this game. It's also having modes like drift mode. They also have free mode where you can drive around the vehicle, and other modes as well where you're parking your vehicle in extremely difficult places. And the graphics for me in this game are almost similar to that of Grand Theft Auto 5. They kind of match, but they're not completely there. Although there's one downside of this game, that is when you're in the interior of the vehicle, when you're playing in first person, you can't help but feel that everything is just static. The speedometer does not move up or down when you're accelerating, and the only moving part is your steering wheel. But hey, they really tried to push off limits, although I'd like to see them remove those static things from the interior of the vehicles. And speaking about the lineup of the vehicles, they have so many vehicles in this game. Some look almost very realistic, even from the way they sound. You have got to play this game to believe me. And it doesn't just end there. They have another game called Parking Master Multiplayer. Now this one is a stepping stone above the real car Parking Master. They almost sound similar, but in terms of the graphics, they are high. This game is higher than the previous one. And also in terms of the lineup of the vehicles they have, they will blow your mind. They have Lamborghinis, they have muscle vehicles. They'll spoil you for the choices of the vehicles that you want. And they have drift mode, they have free mode, they have even the parking mode, that is the career, and they just end up leaving that good taste inside of your mouth when you're playing the game. Each time I play this game, I'm just fully immersed in how this game really looks good. Speak about the interiors of these vehicles. They look realistic. You can't even tell the difference between that vehicle and the real one when you're playing the game. In terms of difficulty, they have really difficult levels which you can't surpass. There are levels that I barely moved from the beginning, so they're really challenging. Anyway, that's been it. That's been the list of the 10 games you can break your boredom during this COVID-19 period. Let me hear which game you've liked from this review in the comment section below. And I hope to catch you guys in the next video. My name is Khaled. This is Khaled Tech. Stay safe.